It's transfer special time, lots of ins, but perhaps more importantly, quite a few outs as well. Let's get into it. Yes, hello, welcome on in to Living Sports here for the Killie Boys on Football Manager 21. If you're new around here, hit that subscribe button for more daily Football Manager content. We're just starting a new season, so it's a perfect time to join in and follow on from the 2029-2030 season. 10 years nearly. 10 years we've nearly been here at Rugby Park as manager. We've won the league once. You can go and see that in the previous episode. But we haven't won it for a few years, and hopefully we can do it this year. And we'll start off this season with a lovely transfer special because there have been quite a few wins, quite a few big name outs, and it's very, very exciting indeed. Just quickly looking at our pre-season schedule, you see we've won all of our friendlies except the one that we drew against Lausanne. I'm not quite sure why, but we've had lots of wins. We even beat Chelsea 2-1, Sevilla 1-0. We've had some good performances, and this could be our season again. I hope. We start off our season, we shall see in the next episode, against Hamilton and Hibernian. But as I said earlier, let's have a look at some transfers. So let's start with the outs. And I can't remember if I told you about Musialowski leaving us. He left us in March. Yeah, I know. I don't know if I mentioned it, I can't remember, but we bought him for $5.5 million, sold him for 2.8, having played 2 league games, not the best piece of business. We will move on quickly, but hopefully he does okay at Al Jazeera, and looking at his average rating so far, it looks like he is over there in the Arab Emirates. The next player of significance to leave us was Scott Crawford. If you remember, we bought him off Celtic for £625,000. He played for us once, and then we sold him to Hibs for £525,000. He was unfortunate. He came in around the same time as players like Cronetta and Eddie Nketiah, and he was never going to get in the team above them. So yeah, we've sold him on, lost £100,000 on him, but I hope he does okay. Not well against us when he's playing for Hibs, where he's gone to, but hopefully he does okay. You can see as a player he was very good physically, but I'll be honest, I don't quite know. He's just unlucky not to get in our team because he looks like he's got good stats, but he never played particularly well when he did actually play for us. Another big name to have left us is Darwin Maza, the full-back. He can also play in the right wing as well. He's went to Watford for £7 million. Remember, we signed him a few years ago now for free. Was out on loan at Real Salt Lake, played a couple of seasons for us. He was very good. He was over a 7 average rating in both the seasons he played for us. But we've sold him to Premier League Watford for £7 million. You can see he's worth 8 now. He's got some good stats here, especially his physicals. But there's some things that you'd maybe like to be slightly better, especially things like crossing, being 11 for a wing back. We'd like it to be slightly higher than that. Maybe tackling's only 10, marking's only 7, heading's only 9. Defensively, not the best. Maybe better as a winger than he is a fullback, but still, if he is going to be a winger, things like passing the 12 and first touch of 12, you'd like to be slightly higher as well. So, don't get me wrong, he's away to Watford now, getting £26,000 a week, which is a lot more than he was getting for us. We're very happy to have had him, but we have brought in players who can adequately fill in for him in those positions, which we'll get to see in just a moment. But yeah, Darwin Maza away to Watford for £7 million. Next is a couple of centre backs. Gerson Chara has been sold to Everton for £1.8 million. They've actually made a little bit of profit on him, surprisingly. He never ended up being a first choice centre back for us, especially with our current centre back pairing of Thomas and Anderson. Chara was always kind of back up there. He was kind of third, fourth choice a lot of the time, and he was getting a bit unhappy with that, so we've made some money on him, sold him on to Everton, and we'll see how he does there. Another central defender who we have sold is Gregory Anila. You will not have seen a lot for him. He played basically one game for us after I bought him for £10 million. Yeah, this was one of those panic buys. I think I spoke about that in one of last week's episodes. We got Bobby Thomas and Gregory Anila to fill in at centre back after Milicevic left, and only one of them could play because I was going to keep playing Darren Anderson the 18-year-old centre-back from Scotland, remember. So we've lost some money on Anila, but he's away to Torino for £5 million. We have a lot of good players in the attacking midfield position, including Jovic and Hamel. So we've sold Florent da Silva, who we remember signed for £3.8 million a few seasons ago now. He played for us most of that season that we signed him. He then went out on loan to Crystal Palace last year, where he didn't do anything, didn't get a game. And we've sold him to Auxerre for 4.2. So we made a little bit of profit on him. So he goes back to France after we signed him from France. We'll see how he does in Auxerre. He was all right for us, but I say we've improved in that position now. Another attacking talent who we have let go because he didn't play last year after Creneta and Nketiah arrived was Lucas Miranda. He's went back to Rosario Central in Argentina, back from his homeland. He came from Godoy Cruz a few years ago now. We signed him for 4.3 million. Remember, it wasn't us that signed him, it was the board. When the board had that takeover, it's the same with Da Silva. Now that the two signings that the board made have now gone. 4.3 million paid for him. He scored 7 goals in his first season. He then only played 1 game the next season. Don't get me wrong, he got an assist, a 7.2 rating. It wasn't too bad, but we've sold him for 2 million. Made a bit of a loss on him. But yeah, hopefully he does well. He was alright for us. I quite enjoyed using him. But we have improved in that striking position now. And lastly, I think the one you were all expecting to happen is Gerson Velasquez. Remember, we could not get his release clause out of his contract, no matter how hard we tried. Yeah, £18 million he's been sold to Brighton for. You can see how good he's been. We signed him for £500,000 from Allianz. What, 5 years ago now? 4 or 5 years ago? He's been a stalwart on the side ever since. His average rating has never been above a 7, which is really surprising because he's been so good for us. But we sold him for 18 million. He's now worth 30. Look at some of those stats, especially some of those physical stats. I mean, like, 17 agility, 15 acceleration, 16 stats. Look, I mean, the worst one's jumping reach at 7, and then the worst one after that's 15. He's got amazing mental stats. His technical passing, 18 tackling, 17. He's great in there as a kind of box-to-box player. We ended up using him. Played him at playmaker to begin with and changed to box-to-box. Yeah, it's going to be disappointing to lose him, but we've got a lot of kind of good midfielders in depth. Remember, last year we had players like Pena and Vlalic and Stacey, who are kind of vying for that other position in midfield. So now we'll need to find a pairing between the two of them. Sad to see him go. You never know, we might get him back, but I don't think so. I think he's going to be a star of the future. 22 years old, he's already played 31 times for his country and got 5 goals. I think he could be a star in the Premier League for Brighton, and hopefully he does well. Right, so now let's look at the end, and these are slightly less exciting. There's lots of players that have come in, but none of them for like a huge amount of money, and I actually don't know how many of them are going to be in the team, if that makes a lot of sense, because I think our first team's fairly solid from last year. It's just adding a lot of strength and depth, and we've got rid of some of the kind of dead wood from the squad. So the first player we've signed is Roman Bukar, who I'm sure you've never heard of before, having been on loan at the club for 3 years previous. We've signed him on a free. He's basically doing a Rodell Richards from Tottenham, like we did with him. Loaned him until his contract was finished and then signed him for a free at the end of it. You can see he's had 3 very good years for us there. Average rating not so much, but certainly scoring goals and assists and things like that. So hopefully he can continue to do that. He kind of lost his place to Eddie Nketiah last year, but he's still an important part of the team. He can cover on both wings. So I'm glad to have him back. A not very exciting transfer, but a transfer nonetheless. The first player that we signed, it was Blair Lunan. He's a 19-year-old Scotsman. We signed from Dundee United for £4.5 million. Looking at it, looks like we may have overpaid slightly. He's very well rounded, but he could do with that kind of improving slightly. Potential ability is only 3 to 4 stars, 2.5 currently. I really was thinking about our Scottish quota, because now we're playing in European competitions quite often. We often can't register enough players because we don't have enough people who have trained in Scotland. We've had a few trained at our club, but certainly not enough to fill the 8 trained in Scotland. So I was thinking about that when I signed this player. Hopefully he'll be happy to act as a squad player. As you can see, he is for his contract. So basically he'll act as that. We haven't given him a number yet. That shows you how non-registered or thinking about it being in the team he really is. He's got some nice physical stats, as I say. He could maybe improve some of these 11 and 12s into 14s. That'd be a lot better for us. But we'll see how he does. He can act as a defensive midfielder or as a central midfielder. Let's say 7 under 21 caps. I'm not sure he's going to set the world alight, but he'll be a squad player. A lot of money for a squad player, but a squad player nonetheless. Another player who signed to play in midfield who could actually be a lot better than Lunin is Michael Martinez. We signed him from Atletico Nacional for 1.8 million. He costs less than Lunin. Looking at him, he's got potential to be a lot better. He's got a lot of greens there. I say a lot. He's got 3: teamwork, aggression, and balance. Maybe not the most important ones. Like, he's got some 14s, things like decision and flair and first touch. The vision 13, work rate 15, technique 15. I'm sure he could improve as well. He's acting as a fringe player. He's on the loan list. He's sat in the reserves just now. We'll see what happens. If he can develop it, he could be a very, very good player indeed. But he's certainly not kind of pushing into the team at the moment. But he's one to look at possibly for the future to see how he develops. That's Michael Martinez. Just quickly, I'm going back to outs. A player you might have forgotten about was João Francisco. He'd been out on loan the last few seasons in Brazil and then at Montpellier. He's continued his loan at Montpellier for this season, so we'll see how he does. I remember we signed him for £7,000. He's currently worth 3.6 million. He's looking a very good player. Get his development at Montpellier. I think he could come back and be a vitally important member of our squad. We'll see when he comes back. But it's just a player, just as I was looking at midfielders who we'd signed, I forgot that João Francisco is out on loan. So when he comes back at the end of this season, we'll see how he fits into the squad. Don't forget about him. He is a player you will see in the future. Another signing we have made is at the centre-back department. Obviously, we've lost Chara and we also lost Anila, so we could have kind of done with some backups, and this is what we've done here. Nikola Bogdanovic from Partizan Belgrade. We spent £2.5 million on him. You can see he's got some very nice statistics there. Marking of 17. Tackling 30 could be a little bit better. Heading 11 could be a little bit better, especially someone who's 6'2", but he's got some nice physical stats there. The worst one being 13 for his pace and stamina. He's got some good positioning and teamwork and work rate, good determination. Looks like he could be a good player. It says that his best position is actually at right wing back, but his crossing and dribbling is not that great, so he'd certainly be a centre back for me. As you can see at the top, it says he is a centre back. Yeah, he's apparently a 3.5-star player at right wing back and only a 3-star player at centre back, but he's kind of one of my backup centre backs. He looks as if he could be very good indeed. You see he's played 6 times for us just down the bottom there. In non-competitive matches, that's got an average rating of 7.15. Now, I know a lot of them were big victories, so your average rating is obviously going to be boosted because of that. But yeah, I think he'll be a very, very good player for us. Certainly as a backup, could very easily push on. 21 years of age. He's got 45 under-21 caps for Serbia, but not being capped at first-team level yet. So hopefully he can do that soon. Maybe push into the team. Certainly if we're battling on several fronts with the league and European football and the Scottish Cup and things like that, could get some game time in there certainly. And certainly is one to look forward. Look for in the future, I would say. 3-star current player could get up to a 3 or 4.5 star. That looks like over there. So we'll see how he does. So that's Bogdanovic at centre back. And continuing on the theme of me panic buying centre backs, we've also signed Esteban Rodriguez for £2 million from Boca. He's another 3-star player, potential up to 5 stars. And you can see he's got some nice stats as well. His worst physical stat is his acceleration at 12. He's got some nice stats. 12 tackling, 12 marking, 14 heading. If you can add a couple on each of them, it would be very good. Nice first touch at 16. He's a very good ball playing centre back. Position at 15, work rate 16. Got good aggression as well and brave. He's got good decision making at 14. He looks like a good centre back. 18 years of age, can develop. I'm looking forward to seeing how he develops, to be honest. Currently happy to be a squad player, but again, similar to Bogdanovic, could easily push into that team. Someone like Bobby Thomas is reaching his 30s. He might come out the team. We'll bring in one of these youngsters. But yeah, I think the future is bright for us at centre half with these players, and we'll see how they do. We are fans of scouting through Serbia and just bringing half of the Serbian youth team over, and that's exactly what we've done here with Boban Trakulja. I'm going to have to give him a nickname. That's fine. I'm just going to call him Boba. That's going to work for me. Boba here is a striker and also winger. So I think someone like an Eddie Nketiah or an Edward Lambert, that similar type of mould. That's the sort of player it looks like we're going for. Some very nice physical stats there as well. First touch 16. The problem with him as a striker is his finishing is 7, which is not ideal. But hopefully we can improve that. He's currently a 3-star striker, 3.5-star player overall. It says can reach 4.5-star. We paid £1.5 million for him from Red Star Belgrade. He's had 11 goals in 21 last season. I think he could be a good player. Certainly a good squad player. Backup striker on the bench. Remember when we had Nketiah on the left, Lambert on the right, and Creneta up front, we didn't often have a striker on the bench. It was De La Rosa sometimes, but this man could act as our bench kind of striker, but also winger as well. I think he could be quite good. Maybe could do with improving some of the stats as well, but we'll see how he develops. Worst comes to worst, we can sell him on for a little bit of a profit. That's Boba, because I'm not going to try and say his actual name. Believe it or not, we actually signed another centre back. Don't worry, I didn't spend money on him. It's Caleb Campbell here. We signed him for a free, I should say, from Arsenal after he'd been on a loan at LA Galaxy. We have loaned him out to Lokomotiv Moscow because we did not need him. See, he's got very good stats, to be fair. He's a 3-star player. I think when he comes back, he could be quite good for us. 24 years of age, a little bit of experience. See how he does out at Lokomotiv Moscow. See some nice stats there, including, aggression, anticipation, bravery. It's good. Heading 12, marking 14, tackling 16. Some good defensive stats. 6'3", very nice physicals as well. I think he could be a good centre back, but he's out on loan at Lokomotiv Moscow. I don't want to just sit on the bench because he would sit on the bench behind Thomas and Anderson this season. So hopefully he can improve when he's there at Moscow. Another centre back, but didn't spend money on. Don't worry. Not panic buying too much. One player who I just want to mention who you might see at some point in kind of cup games maybe, or less important league games if Ryan Morris is needing a rest or gets injured or something, is Ingo Kleifisch. We signed him from Schalke on a free as a goalkeeper. 2.5-star player. He's got some nice goalkeeping stats. He might play instead of Neves, I'm not sure, but I just thought I'd let you know just in case you see him on the field. We might sell. He's happy to be a backup, but he looked like quite a good player when we scouted him. He's not quite as good when he arrived, but still a 2.5-star player. Oh yeah, I forgot about this one. Another centre-back / right-back. Yeah, from Partizan. Again, we seem to sign, a lot of players from Serbia. It's Zoran Nastic here. See, he's got some nice stats, tackling 16, marking 13. Could maybe do with his head and being slightly better there at 13 as well, alongside the marking, just to improve, especially with someone who's 5'11". We could do with his jumping being quite good as well, and it's only a 10, so perhaps not that great. He's got nice stamina though. Can also play on the right hand side if need be, but I think he's better as a centre half. I'm not sure how much we'll see him, or we'll see of him, I should say. 1.6 million. We've now got kind of 5 solid centre half, 6 if you include Campbell, who's away at Lokomotiv Moscow, so there might be some rotation through them there. But yeah, that's Zoran Nastic from Serbia again. Some nice stats in there, but we'll see how he does. Definitely a backup. And finally, we have another defender, but mainly as a kind of replacement to Maza, because it was just Magallanes and then no one else really was a proper out-and-out right back. So we've signed Gregorio Luis Sica, the 18-year-old Argentine from Boca Juniors. It's cost us £10 million, but you can see he's got some very, very nice stats. His potential ability, 5-star. Currently seen as an important player. Look at those physical stats. We're only going on the increase as well. Mentals are all in double figures except leadership at 2. So he's never going to be the captain. Nice defensive stuff, including heading at 15, marking at 15, tackling at 14. And as he's coming forward. Now, if we want him to be a wing back, his crossing's only 8, his dribbling's only 9, first touch only 11. Could maybe improve that slightly. But certainly defensively very, very solid. Can play at right back, can also play at centre back if he has to as well. So we've got some cover in there. I think he's going to be a very, very good player for us. Might not be beating out Magallanes this season, but certainly as we go forward, he might end up beating him out. And it could be very, very good. But that's our kind of replacement for Maza. So that leaves our team looking something like this. We've got a couple of injuries, so before we get into our first game of the season in the next episode, we need to make some changes. But I think this is probably our first choice team at the moment. Morris playing in goal, Magallanes on the right and Guerrero on the left, with Thomas and Anderson as our centre-back partnership. I think in the midfield we're going to go with Vlalic and Pena as our centre mids, obviously, after losing Velasquez. Jovic in front of them, Lambert, Creneta and Ketia, the front three. And as you can see from that team, none of our new signings we've made. Now, think about how many signings I've just talked you through. None of them make it into our first team. At least I don't think they do, based on my first choice of team. Which is slightly worrying. Just in theory, we've not improved at all, our first team. We've lost players from the first team, like Velasquez, but we've not actually brought any more into it. Slightly worrying, I would say. On the bench, you do have players like Neves, Rodriguez, who we signed, Bogdanovic, who we signed, Stacey Hamill, Bookert, and Boba as well. I think that could very easily change, though. Someone like Sika I was just looking at there, and I think surely he's got to be on the bench for us, So there's options that can easily happen, I think. And we'll have to also make some changes for this first league game in the next episode because we've got some injuries. But looking at the team, I'm quite happy with. You can see a lot of 3-star, 3.5-star. Eddie Nketiah is a 4-star player. No one really dropping into that 2 or 2.5-star range, which is good. And if we look at our competition preview for the Scottish Premiership, you can see that we are 7-1 to win the league. So we're not quite. Celtic and Rangers are up there kind of around evens and 2-1, but we're well ahead of Hibs, Motherwell, Hearts, Dundee United, St Mirren on 50. So we're clearly the third team in this league. You can see the key players on the right hand side. Eddie Nketiah is the key player in the league, the best player in the league is what it says there. A couple of Celtic players and the Rangers player in between that, and then Boba is technically our second best player, is what they think in the media, which could be very interesting indeed. You can see the Dream 11. Obviously, we've lost Velasquez now, so we don't get that midfield position. But we do have Magallanes, who it says should be playing in right mid, which I'm not sure about. But Magallanes and Nketiah for us are in there. There's 4 Rangers players and there's 5 Celtic players in there. So maybe we'll have to play Boba. You never know if it says that him and Nketiah are our 2 key players. But we'll see what happens. We're expected to finish in third. And remember, obviously, we are in the Europa League this year, which if you look at the competitions, our playoff game is on the 23rd of August. And if we look at our schedule, that is either against Botev Plovdiv of Bulgaria, our playoff round, or against Linzer Athletic Sport Club in Austria. So that could be a very interesting episode in a couple of episodes' time. I'll show you that episode to see if we can get into the Europa League proper for the first time. Remember, we have played in the Europa League 2 quite a lot. We've played in the Champions League at one point as well, remember? I think we dropped into Europa League after that, though. But yeah, actually properly qualifying through it. I think this could be the first time. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below if you know differently. But yes, sorry if that episode has dragged on. We just had a lot to talk about in that one. Some kind of admin to get us ready for the new season. If you are looking forward to this new season, do hit that like, hit that thumbs up. It really does help out the channel. Or if you're just looking forward to the next episode where we play against Hamilton and Hibs in the league, then that's another reason to hit that like button as well. Subscribe if you're new around here, ready for this new season here on the Killie Boys of Football Manager 21. And until the next one, we'll see you then.